You've probably heard about people getting strange addictions, like smoking or drinking alcohol, but there are other, weirder habits like food addictions, nail biting, picking your nose, or even eating your own. My name is Linda, and I had a terrible habit. You may not have heard of it. It's called trichophagia. Unfortunately, this seemingly harmless habit grew out of control. I grew up as a normal schoolgirl. Classes, friends, homework. I also had a normal family. Mom, dad, and 2 brothers. I've never been very sentimental. I could even be cold sometimes. But the loss of my beloved dog broke my heart. I'll tell you the whole story. When my older brother was born, my dad bought a Labrador puppy. They named him Lucky. Lucky was not just a pet. He became part of the family. He was the cutest and happiest dog. As Lucky got older, another boy was born, and soon after, I was. Lucky and I played in the yard, ran through the streets, ran around the house, and at night he would lie down next to us on the couch, and we watched cartoons together. I'll never forget that awful day. I went for a run in the park. Lucky ran beside me. He was barking all over the place, scaring the birds on the road, and began chasing one, and ran on the freeway. Wheels screeched. Lucky let out his last whine and passed away there. His passing was hard on the family. My brothers moped around the yard, processing the news. I often cried. Our parents didn't know what to do. My mom even wanted to buy a new puppy, but we said no, because no one could replace our Lucky. Several months had gone since our beloved Lucky passed away, and it was hard for me, because everything happened in front of me. In a way, I felt guilty, because if it had not been for that stupid run, everything would have been fine and Lucky would still be here. Since then, I began to notice that when I was worried or anxious, I began to fiddle with my hair. I'd just take a bit and twist it around my fingers. This took the edge off. It was like a coping mechanism, and once I accidentally pulled a few hairs out. I stared at them. I did not know why, but I decided to eat them. Please do not do that. This weird craving had dire consequences. At first, I ate just out of curiosity, and then I began to notice how my hands would automatically reach for my head to pull more out. Sounds creepy, right? Nobody knew about my strange habit. I was ashamed to tell anyone. But one day, my mom saw me eating my hair. She asked me, "What in God's name are you doing?" I turned red, couldn't say anything, and just muttered that I was doing an experiment for school, and that I wasn't really eating my hair, just chewing it. My mom looked at me weird, but it seemed she bought it. I was relieved, and this made me very careful from then on. Every day, I hid, eating my hair more and more. This calmed me down, and it became easier to hide. I noticed that as soon as I was anxious or remembered Lucky, my hands immediately reached for my scalp. I knew that this was wrong, but I just couldn't help myself. And then it all started. At first, I got nausea in the morning. I thought it was because I don't have breakfast. I then started to eat, but the nausea did not go away. I began to drink more water, but this didn't help either. Then I got a migraine, and I couldn't turn my head because of the pain. And soon after, I got a terrible stomachache, and I cried in pain. I was lucky that my mom was home because she immediately took me to the hospital. The doctor examined me and said that I had eaten something wrong. I just had trouble digesting it, but just in case, they sent me for an ultrasound scan. And what they saw during the examination shocked everyone. I had huge clumps of hair in my stomach. Mom fell to the floor in horror. The doctor even took his glasses off in surprise, and I closed my eyes in shame. My mom and I were driving in the car in silence. I was afraid of her possible questions, and it seemed that she was afraid of my explanations. We drove to get my belongings to the hospital because the doctor said that it was too serious and I immediately needed surgery. They thoroughly took out the hair from my stomach, but this was only a temporary surgery, and the main one was yet to come. At home, my mom, without saying a word, hugged me. We both cried. It was only at that moment I realized what my terrible habit had led to. I told my mom how it all started, and that I blamed myself for what happened to Lucky. My mom said that it was okay, telling me that it was no one's fault, and told me that I had to let go of the past and move on with my life. We were scheduled for another operation for the evening, so we got to the hospital again. Time dragged on, and I was extremely worried, but it helped me that my family was there to support me. In the operating room, I was given anesthesia, and I cried in fear. The nurse reassured me that everything will be okay, and I will fall asleep soon. My eyes grew heavy, and I quickly fell asleep. I dreamed about how I was running across a field, picking flowers, and my dear Lucky was with me. He was exactly the same as before, barking happily and running around. "Linda! Linda!" a voice spoke to me. My eyes opened slowly. I noticed my mouth was really dry. Looking around, I saw my mom, who was sitting by my bed. She got me some water and gently held my hand. My mom said that everything went perfectly and there was nothing to worry about. 6 months have passed since the operation. My parents and brothers helped me a lot with my recovery. They got me candy, took walks with me in the fresh air, watched movies, and played board games with me. After leaving the hospital, I went to a psychologist to help me get over my guilt with Lucky. After a while, I was able to get off this pain and could go back to my old life. It was incredibly difficult to get over my hair eating addiction, but I was able to overcome that too. I was finally like my old self. Our family even decided to adopt a puppy from the shelter, and the laughter and happy barking were heard in the house again. If you liked the video, then please leave a comment down below and leave a like. Don't forget to subscribe.
Do you believe in the supernatural? I've always been skeptical of this sort of stuff, but after one terrible incident, I think I changed my mind. My name is Simon, and I live in the sunny state of Florida. The beaches are truly awesome here. Every weekend, my family and I go to the beach, have picnics, swim in the ocean, and just have a blast. I love these little outings and look forward to them every Saturday. My mom works at home, and my dad works in a credit company. Many years ago, he founded it himself, and now he has about 30 employees and several branches around the city. Thanks to my dad's business, we have a nice life, and my mother always tells me to go to college as an economist, so then I can continue the family tradition. But the turning point in our life came on a breezy spring day. Dad came home from work very happy, called my mom and me into the kitchen and said that he was buying a new house. My mom and I were surprised because, as far as I knew, my parents were not planning to move. I thought that only I didn't know, but then realized that that came as a surprise to my mom too. Dad, seeing our reaction, started to explain. Turns out a year ago, this one guy approached him and he wanted to take out a large loan and leave this country house as collateral. All documents were signed and the man took out a loan for a couple of months. As the deadline approached, he did not have the money and tearfully asked Dad to renew the contract. Dad went to meet him and gave him some more time. But the next time, the man still didn't have any money. He again asked not to take the house away and that he'd pay him back soon, but Dad had no choice. Since the agreement listed all the possible terms, they all hadn't expired. Dad had the house to himself as collateral and decided to take a short vacation in it with the whole family. He said that if we liked it, we could keep it for ourselves. If we don't, Dad could just sell it. My mom and I were so psyched. We began to pack, and the next day we were on the road. It was about a 2-hour drive from our town in Florida to the new place. We sang road trip songs, ate sandwiches, and were in full anticipation mode, because judging by the description of the house, we'd get to live in an awesome one. We drove up to a small lake on the shore of which there was this awesome mansion with like 3 stories. It was so gorgeous. There was a ton of greenery, and the high gates made it more private, although it seemed to me that this wasn't too necessary, because there were no other buildings near the house, and it would take at least half an hour to get to the nearest store. Dad opened the front door, and we found ourselves in a beautiful, spacious hall. It's so pretty here. One floor of this mansion was the whole area of our old home. For the first time, I wanted to move here for good. I started jumping and shouting in celebration. The parents laughed and were also quite happy. Dad said that now he understood why the old owner wanted to keep this house so bad. This is an awesome place to live. Mom and I ran to the second floor to choose rooms. I went to one, then to another. Each room had expensive furniture, cool paintings. After seeing several rooms, I chose one, the windows of which looked into the lake, and I had my own small balcony where I could spend my free time in the evening. For dinner, we set a table and talked about the house. Dad walked along the shore of the lake and said that the water was incredibly clean and that he even saw a few swans. Mom also managed to take a walk and noticed this magnificent garden where apple and cherry trees were growing. We were very pleased. It seemed that this house was exactly what we wanted, but when nightfall came, I realized how wrong I was. The light from the moon slightly illuminated my room. I heard the waves on the lake, how the birds chirped quietly, and I was so calm. I closed my eyes and was almost asleep when I heard some noise in the yard. I went out onto the balcony and began to peer through the darkness, trying to see what it was. A white shadow flashed behind a tree and disappeared. What was it? Probably a yard dog, or it just seemed. I shrugged it off and went to bed again. At breakfast the next morning, we discussed our plans for the day. Mom said that she needed to buy new dishes for the house, and Dad said he needed to go to the bank to do some work. My parents asked if I wanted to go with them or to the city or just wanted to stay at home. I didn't want to go anywhere and decided to stay. When they left, I got my laptop, played songs from my favorite band, and started to dance and sing along. It almost seemed as though the swans could hear me sing. I felt so good, closed my eyes and danced. Suddenly, the song stopped. I went to my computer and saw a black screen. I realized that the lights were out. Frustrated, I went up to my room, took out a book, and began to read. Suddenly, from the ground floor, I heard a noise similar to a howl. I got scared, and the howl got louder and louder, and it seemed that it was approaching my room. I looked at the door with horror and quickly ran to close it. My heart was pounding wildly. I knew for sure that there was someone in the house besides me. I started looking for my phone, but it was nowhere to be found. Damn, it's probably in the kitchen downstairs. Okay, I have no communication, and there's someone in the house besides me, either a person or animal or maybe something else. Suddenly, I heard a creepy, quiet voice say, "You have disturbed my peace, my house. I will take revenge with your tears and with your blood." At that moment, I was ready to jump down from the second floor and run. You won't believe how scared I was. I prayed that my parents would come quickly, and to my relief, I heard a car pull up. I'm saved. I ran onto the balcony and began to call for help. "Mom! Dad! Someone's in the house!" Dad immediately ran in. Mom followed him. I heard them going up the stairs and opened the door for them. I told them what happened. Dad went to inspect all the rooms in the yard. Later, he came back and said that he had found nothing. Not even footprints. "Maybe you just imagined it, son," Dad asked. I shook my head. I knew it was real and that someone was at our house. Dad said that he'll sleep on the couch tonight in my room to make me feel safer. It was night again. I was scared to close my eyes, but my dad calmed me down. After a while, he fell asleep, and I lay looking out into the window. Terrible thoughts crept into my mind. As soon as I began to fall asleep, I heard the same howl, but this time somewhere far away. Terrified, I was preparing to wake my dad up. "My home, my fortress. You have stepped into my territory." Hearing the same creepy voice, I couldn't take it anymore. "Dad!" Dad quickly woke up. "Dad, it's that voice again!" Dad got up from the couch and ran downstairs. I was too afraid to move. Suddenly, I heard someone shouting for help downstairs. Frightened that it was Dad, I quickly went down. I was surprised to see that my dad was holding some guy's arm, and he asked him to let go. "What the hell are you doing here? How dare you scare my son?" Dad said something else, and I realized that this man was the former owner of the house who took out the loan, and his plan was to scare us out of the house so that he could move back. The man begged Dad to forgive him and not call the police. Dad decided to let him go, but made him promise that it would never go near our family ever again. That morning, we packed our things and went back to Florida. My parents decided not to get that house, and I no longer wanted to live there also. Too many bad memories. We drove back to our good old home, and I was happy the creepy lake mansion was very far away. If you liked the video, then please leave a like and subscribe to our channel.